For those people that don't like electric cars, what do you think of this? This is a 2023 Rivian R1S, a 3-row fully electric SUV to compete with competitors like the Tesla Model X and also other combustion-powered SUVs like the Land Rover Defender. However, one ride in this just might change your opinion on electric cars altogether. And today, I'm gonna review it. For those that are watching that are probably wondering, how did a 14-year-old get a hold of such a nice vehicle? And that's because I stole. In 2009, Rivian CEO Robert R.J. Scaringe founded Rivian Automotive, but back then it was called Mainstream Automotive. Later on, in like 2009 or 10, they renamed it to Avera Automotive, and then finally in 2011, they named it to Rivian Automotive. This is the R1 platform, which is produced in Normal, Illinois, in an old Mitsubishi plant, funnily enough. And this is the first car that Rivian has ever made. Well, I guess the R1T was the first one, but it doesn't matter. How's about a tour? Up front, you have a massive front light bar. Turn signals and headlights are integrated into these nice ovals here. Down below are some fog lights, tow recovery hooks, and a Rivian badge. Push this little button to pop open your front trunk. Oh crap, Inside the front trunk, you have a decent amount of room, some lights here, an emergency trunk release here, some netting to hold some stuff in place, and under this false floor, this is where your normal 120 volt, 240 volt EVSC would be stored. And there's a drain down here, so you can use it as a cooler. Although you might get dubious results on how well it actually cools things, or keeps things cold, but you can do it anyway. On the front left corner, this is your charge port. Tap right here and it gracefully spins open to reveal your CCS charge port up to 212 kilowatts DC, 11.7 kilowatts AC charging, and it has a 135 kilowatt hour battery pack that can get you up to 320 miles of range. The Rivian also has 835 horsepower and over 900 pound-feet of torque, which can propel the 7,000 pound R1S to 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, which is extremely fast for something of its size and weight. As far as tires go in the Rivian, you can get a road 21-inch wheel, a sport 22-inch wheel, or these black 20-inch all-terrain wheels. These look pretty nice. Your range does decrease about 40 miles with the all-terrain wheels though, so I don't know if I would do it. But they do look good. Yellow brake calipers, and suspension is a fully independent air setup that can range from around 9 inches of ground clearance all the way up to 15 inches of ground clearance, which makes this thing super good off-road and on-road actually. It's pretty much a do-it-all vehicle. This is one of 4 keys to your Rivian R1S. You can use a phone, you can use a key fob, you can use a bracelet, or this key card. To lock and unlock the Rivian, just tap the key card right here, and it'll lock, tap it again, and it'll unlock. And then once you're in the car, just tap the key card right here, and it'll start it up. Inside the front of the Rivian, you have your 10-way power-adjustable, heated and ventilated vegan leather seating. Extremely comfortable, ventilation works great, and good for road trips. Steering wheel is power adjustable and heated. You have a, I don't know how big display up here, but it shows your driver assist settings. It can show a map, it can show your gears, all your things related to driving. And in the center, you have a 15-inch touchscreen, although no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. In the back seats of the R1S, it is decently big. I have a decent amount of headroom, decent amount of leg room. The seats do recline and slide forward and backward to get this third row more or less room. You do have air vents back here, heated seats, and a separate climate zone for the second row. USB ports on the back of the front seat. Windows go all the way down, and you have airplane style rear storage compartments on the back of the seat. In the second row, you also have a armrest with 2 cup holders, and the center bit can fold down to store skis or longer items like, I don't know, 2x4s. But that's probably not what the target demographic for this vehicle is going to put in here, but you could if you want to. Climbing in third row is pretty easy. Just press the button on the back of the seat, seat size forward, and then you can climb into the third row. Once I'm back here, there's a decent amount of room. It's quite a bit bigger than most cars of this size. I do have USB charge ports in these little storage areas back here, cup holders, air vents, and if I put the seat back, I have a actually decent amount of legroom. Now, if I get behind this seat, that's a bit of a different story. If the seat's all the way back, I can just barely fit. But again, you can slide the seats forward and get more space. Around back in the Rivian, you have a big light bar, combined turn signals and brake lights right here, which isn't great for safety, but the US government allows that, which they shouldn't. But you have teeny tiny reverse lights down here, and that's basically the back of the Rivian. You have a wiper and third brake lights up here, and that's basically it. To pop the trunk open, just press this little button, and it electronically opens up. You may realize that my backpack is back here, and it shouldn't be. What I actually wanted you to realize is that there's still this tailgate here. That's weird. Press this button, drops down, and you can sit on it if you want to have a picnic in your Rivian or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what people do with cars these days. In the back, Slide this cover and you have a power outlet, a cigarette lighter, and slide this lower cover to reveal a full-on air compressor, which you can use to pump up the spare tire in the Rivian, pump up the regular tires in the Rivian, or pump up accessories like a beach ball if you're going to the beach. You have these little slidey cargo tie-down points, which are useful if you want to tie down some cargo in the back. Under the floor in the cargo compartment, you have a little tray. Here's where the hose for the air compressor would be stored, and lift this up, and you actually have a compact spare tire and jack. No other electric SUV has a spare tire, so that is a big win for the Rivian R1S. And if you want to fold the third row, pull these levers, push the seat forward, and push these two buttons on the side of the panel to drop the second row seats. And finally, raise this floor up so you have a completely flat floor. And then, if you want to, you can just climb into the back and lie down in the back of your Rivian with the AC on and camp. One thing I noticed about these third row seats is that if you fold them down, there's no way to easily get them back up. I have to literally climb into the back and lift this lever and then pull it up at the same time. Or I have to go around to the side, move the second row seat forward, and then lift the seat up, which takes more effort than it should, really. It really should be power folding at this price point. And then when you want to close it all up, just lift the tailgate and press the button. Under here, this panel can pop off somehow and allow this thing to tow up to 7,000 pounds. Pretty good for an SUV of its size. For comparison, a Ford Explorer can only tow 5,000 pounds, and it's only 2 inches shorter than the R1S. So there's a quick overview. Let's cover some styling and pricing. First off, I think this is a pretty good looking SUV. Yes, it is definitely unique with its pretty unique front fascia and its boxy design, which is unusual for electric SUVs, but I think it looks great. This color is called Red Canyon, but it has a satin PPF on it, so it normally is glossy. However, this one is not glossy because it has a satin PPF. For comparison, this is the satin PPF, and then this is the actual Red Canyon paint. And the interior, by the way, is called Ocean Coast, which is excellent. I love the white interior in this thing. It looks so fresh and clean, and I hope it holds up well to stains and stuff, but it looks awesome. As far as pricing goes for the R1S, this exact version costs around $101,100 at this time of filming. Not cheap, but then again, you do get quite a bit of car if you're willing to pay the price. Anyway, that's enough rambling on about the car. Let's just do some pros and cons of the Rivian R1S electric SUV.
Pro, Gear Guard. Just like Tesla's Sentry Mode, Gear Guard is a system that uses all the vehicle's cameras around the car to monitor it while you're away, and will send an alert to your phone if someone bumps or damages the car. Just like Tesla's Sentry Mode, Gear Guard will record clips and save them to the car, but can also be used as a dash cam in case you get into an accident. Con, no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Really annoying if you just want to plug in your phone and use Apple Maps or Apple Music. And there is also no satellite radio, which is kind of a weird feature not to include, but it doesn't. Pro, Driver Plus, which is basically what Rivian calls their autopilot system, works really well. Just double press down on the drive selector and the car will steer, brake, and accelerate with confidence, but it only works on mapped roads, so it is limited on where it can work, and it cannot change lanes for you, unlike certain versions of Tesla Autopilot. Pro, Camp Mode. Camp mode allows the climate control to stay on in case you're sleeping inside the car, whilst also shutting off all exterior lighting as to not disturb other people around. You can even press a button and the car will even level the vehicle using the air suspension, so it'll be completely flat, so it won't be on an angle if you park on a slight slope. Pro, the performance. 850 horsepower is a lot, and the 3 seconds 0 to 60 time for a 7,000 pound car is pretty insane. However, its top speed is limited to just 112 miles an hour, which is kind of disappointing. That said, the way this thing handles for having all-terrain tires is insane. I've never experienced any other car with all-terrain tires that handles as good as the R1S does. Pro, the build quality. Generally, it's pretty good. Everything fits together quite nicely. Nothing squeaks or rattles when driving around. I'm surprised since this is technically Rivian's first car. Well, I guess the R1T was, but it's basically the same thing. Though there is a few little build quality issues. For example, this panel on the top part of the trunk doesn't quite line up with the roof. So there is a few build quality issues, but it's not a major one and you can't even see it anyway. Con, the air vents are adjusted using the touchscreen, which makes it really annoying to adjust while moving. Pro, it has a flashlight built into the door panel. Like a Rolls-Royce, if it was electric and oriented for off-road and outdoors. In all seriousness, it is actually a really nice flashlight. It's bright and charges via that pocket inside the door, so you never have to change the batteries. Pro, there's a built-in Bluetooth speaker. Just pull it out of the center console and play music from your phone via Bluetooth or mirror the car's stereo system. And just like the flashlight, it charges inside its little docking station inside the console, so again, you don't have to charge it separately. Pro, software updates, which are really important to make sure that you get bug fixes and get new features over time, so the car doesn't quickly become outdated, which is super useful, and a lot of new cars are coming out with that. Pro, built-in route planning and preconditioning. Just navigate to a destination and it'll automatically add charging stops to make sure you make it to your destination. And en route to the charger, the car will automatically prepare the battery for fast charging to make sure you get the fastest speeds. Pro, the phone app. You can use the phone basically as an entire way to control your Rivian. You can lock, unlock, turn on the AC, heated seats. You can even use it to get in the car and drive away, which is really useful. And you can even go on Google Maps and have it find where your car is via the app, which is super useful. Pro, pet comfort. Similar to Tesla's dog mode, pet comfort allows the climate control to remain on while you run into the store, for example. The main screen will even display the current temperature, so people walking past will know that the car is nice and cool and that your pet is safe. Con, the steering wheel and mirror controls are accessed through the touchscreen, and the easiest way I found to adjust them is by first either pressing one of the seat buttons or press the driver profile menu on the top left of the touchscreen. Once you do, you can press the little steering wheel or mirror adjustment button, and then you can use these little paddles and scroll wheels on the steering wheel to adjust those things, but it's hard to find those adjustments, especially if you're not used to the Rivian, and they're also kind of finicky to access while driving. Pro, conserve mode. Conserve is kind of what Rivian calls their eco mode, and it's more than just a gimmick. Apart from increasing regen and dulling the throttle response, the two rear motors actually have a clutch disconnect, so they can decouple and run in front-wheel drive mode, which actually allows for a decent amount of range increase. This is a huge pro in the future, but it's not here yet. Rivian is going to adopt Tesla's charging standard, NACS, which stands for North American Charging Standard. This may sound not very important, but then if you think about it, you can access every Tesla supercharger out there, which are known to be super reliable and fast, and they're basically everywhere at this point. So that'll make it super easy to road trip in the future. Pro, the camera system is good amount of angles, front, rear, side, and 360 angles, making parking super easy and hassle-free. Though they could be a little higher resolution. They are a little grainy, which is kind of subpar for a vehicle of this price. Pro-ish, con, it's good. Both depending on who you ask. The regen. The regen is very strong and allows for complete one-pedal driving and regenerates a lot of power on downhills, but you cannot turn it off, which is confusing for new drivers because if they just want to drive the car normally, you can't turn that off, so they have to figure out how to correctly modulate the regen with the accelerator pedal in order to drive it smoothly, which can be quite annoying. Pro, driver profiles. This will save your steering wheel settings, mirror settings, seating position, and other settings inside for Driver Plus and stuff for different people. So if you want your mom to drive the car, you can have them save their own driver profile to where they can save their own settings for each individual person. Pro-ish con, the panoramic sunroof. While it is nice to look out of, it's not tinted enough in the summertime to keep it cool, and you can't close the sunroof either. So in hot Texas summers, it really sucks, and it gets really hot inside the car.
So those are some simple pros and cons of the Rivian R1S. Now let's just get into the weird, interesting quirks or features of it, of which there are quite a few. When you lock the doors on the R1S, it makes a little chirping sound. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but I'll do it again. There is a mode called Show and Tell mode, which allows you to keep the screens and lights on while disabling proximity locking, SOS call, and the horn. This is useful because it keeps the lights and the doors unlocked so you can show it off to your friends, or, as I'm doing, record a review. The gear guard system has this interesting little Yeti guy. I don't know what it's for, but he's kind of cute and kind of makes the security thing a little less of like, oh, I'm watching you. It's just more like a friendly little guy. This stock has a lot going on. For one, it's your turn signals, but it's also your lights, slip between your light settings right here. It's also your wipers, so you slip between your wiper settings right here. It's also your mist for the front windshield and for the rear window as well. This is your gear selector, down for drive, up for reverse, park is on the end, and for neutral, you just half press in between reverse and drive. You may hop in the Rivian and realize, wait, there's no cup holders, but there is. Tap right here, and 2 cup holders pop out, and they're actually fairly big. It'll fit a large Aquafina water bottle in them. You have tons of yellow accenting. Yellow accents up here, yellow accents in the Rivian badge. Brake calipers on the wheels, front brake calipers, the badging. Interestingly, there is no glove box, but to make up for not having a glove box, there is a secret storage compartment underneath the seats. One key styling difference versus the R1T is that the roof is black and has this silver line going all the way down and down the back. So this is how you can tell if it's an R1S or an R1T directly from the front view without seeing any of the side view. So you can see the top is black. On an R1T, that would be whatever the body color is, so red. Also, the R1S is a whole 17 inches shorter than the R1T, most of which is in its wheelbase. But that also means that you lose the gear tunnel, which makes sense for an SUV, but is a little unfortunate. However, it makes it much more maneuverable in tight spaces. If you go into the vehicle menu, there is a button for car wash mode, which makes sure all the windows are closed and make sure the charge port doesn't open, and make sure the doors handles stay inward. To open it, once you've engaged car wash mode, just push on the dimple of the door handle and then it will pop out and then you can get into your Rivian. What's interesting is that you might be looking around in here to find a hazard lights, and then you look up and realize that they're on the ceiling. That's because the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards mandate that the hazard lights be a physical button, so they didn't want to clutter the interior, so they just stuck it on the ceiling. Quite an interesting solution. All the Rivians do have Alexa built in, so you can sign into Alexa, and it just did, yeah. But if I say, Alexa, change the temperature to 69 degrees.
Okay.
There you go. Horn test. This space right here is actually a wireless charger for your smartphone, though there is no way for it to actually grip your smartphone, so it may not actually charge that well because it'll be sliding around when you're driving. The interesting thing about these doors is that they take an unusually high amount of force to get them to fully latch. Like, it didn't fully latch that time, didn't fully latch that time. You really have to put a lot of weight into it to make sure this door fully latches correctly. Kind of an interesting quirk is that the airbag on the steering wheel changes color depending on which interior you have. So if you have the black interior, this will be a black airbag. If you have the white interior, this will be a white airbag. And if you have the green interior, this will be a green airbag, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they would make 3 different airbags, but it does match the rest of this beautiful ocean coast interior, so I'm not complaining. If you go into drive with the door open and then try to go forward, it just puts itself right back in park. It does not like to drive with the door open. Another interesting sound is when you try to close the tailgate with this bottom part open. It's like... Another interesting quirk of the Rivian is that there is 0 start button. All you have to do is just get in with the key in your pocket or with the key card, put your foot on the brake, and it automatically starts up. There is no start-stop button. The car is just kind of always on. If you have the key card, you have to tap it to here along with the wristband. But the car is always on once you sit down inside of it. Also, I like that you can turn on the cabin lights with this, but then you can also dim them. It has dimmable cabin lights? What other car has that? I don't think I've ever seen a car that has dimmable dome lights. Parking sensors and cameras in this thing make it super easy to park. So just if I pull towards this bolt right in front of us, you have the little parking meters here. And these are all surround parking, and they are very accurate, so they show exactly how far away you are. Even though all the sensors and cameras make it very easy to park, it will not park for you, which is something that a lot of SUVs at this price point can do, and even a lot that are even below this price point can do. You also have all this really cool ambient lighting right behind all these trim pieces and in the air vents. And you can adjust these little buttons here, so you can adjust your accent lighting, so you can dim it, brighten it, or turn it off if you don't like it. You also have the same cool accent lighting in the rear doors as well. Another interesting quirk is that even if it's locked, you can still press in on this door handle, which I guess means if the car won't pop its door handles out, you can push in right here and it'll pop out these handles so you can go like this and grab it. I mean, they do automatically pop out, but if it doesn't pop out, then you can still try to open it. These puddle lights on the outside of the door are actually really cool. They project like the Rivian logo onto the ground from the mirror, which is a super interesting look. They actually are super bright and they're really nice looking. It has little LED lights in the door handles too, so you can see it at night, even though it has that too, but it has LEDs in here. If you open the tailgate at night, you have some actually really, really bright lights inside the tailgate to illuminate the ground, which is super useful if you're loading up cargo at night. They're actually really bright. I didn't expect them to be that bright. Wow. Oh my god, hold on. Those liftgate lights weren't even maxed. Hold up, I gotta see this now. Oh, that's perfect for loading up cargo at night because you have the lights like in here. And you can like sit down and it's illuminated and stuff. So unfortunately, I forgot to get a little clip of this quirk, but I did get it on the R1T. The front light bar and the rear light bar actually glow green when plugged in, which is pretty cool. And I'll put a little clip up right here. If you open up the doors, on the B pillar, there is a Rivian logo embossed into the bodywork. So it's right here. Quite interesting. And the door panels are like airplane style like folders that pop out, which are really sturdy and help keep cargo in place. And there's also another Rivian logo right here that you couldn't even see unless the door was open. If you hold down these buttons on the steering wheel, you can cycle between an energy graph, a map, and your tire pressure. One thing I find extremely annoying is that there is no power outlets in this center console. Not even 12-volt cigarette style outlets. And the only USB ports that are in this car are USB-C, which means I can't charge my phone in any other way other than wireless. So why? Just why? One feature that I feel like the R1S is missing is that there's no camera rear view mirror, and I can't like remotely fold the rear headrests down to see better, which I would think it would have because they are electronic to begin with. But why can't I fold those headrests down from the screen? It doesn't make sense because then they're kind of in my vision. And there is also a 120 volt outlet underneath the console in the back seats, so you can charge your devices. One thing I don't like about the Rivian is how hard the headrests are. It's like hard as a rock. Like they're really stiff. They don't give that much. I don't usually rest my head on the headrest anyway, but it's kind of uncomfortable. Up on the roof, there's these little slots where you can hook a crossbar in here, so you can put some crossbars in a roof rack up here. Also a nice feature, if you unlock the door with the key card, you don't actually have to tap the key card to start the car. I can just get in and turn it on immediately, so I don't have to tap it against the door to get it to start. If you unlock it with the key card, it automatically starts up for you, so you don't have to tap the key card against the door again, which is actually the best feature ever. So those are some interesting quirks and features. Now, let's get out on the road and see how it drives. Now, I can't drive it, but my dad can. So let's see what he thinks of the R1S driving experience. This thing actually feels pretty good to drive. It feels pretty natural. The region is a little abrupt. Like, it's hard to get used to, but you would get used to it with time. Find the dead zone in the pedal to where you can just basically coast. Even though my foot's still on the gas, I'm basically just coasting. The off-road tires, I can feel them a little bit, like the sidewall, but it's not too bad. So what do you think of how it drives, Dad?
It drives really good.
It's fast.
It's fast. It's really stable for an SUV.
And all-terrain tires.
All-terrain tires are nice. Which we can't take it in the mud, but I'd like to.
Holy golly! That one, the tires were like...
Dude, it laid it down.
Oh my god.
Dude! Oh my goodness!
Oh god.
Holy cow.
Soft and high. Yep. Oh my god. And so that's a full in-depth review of the Rivian R1S. I will be making other videos with the R1S, such as a 0-60 test and an infotainment review and some other little things. But yeah, that's all for this review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe. See you all next time. Okay, out of curiosity, my dad wants to do a reverse, little launch. Oh! Shit! Is that all it had? 16 miles an hour?
That's all
Jesus! I was not expecting
awesome.
that.
That was cool.
A lot of people in today's society think EVs are pretty stupid, and frightfully some of them are. You went too fast. Where's my pedal light? Oh, what the frick? What was that? Just locked for no reason and tried to bite my hand off. Alright, ready? Oh.
Oh. Alright, I'm gonna try again. Ready?
Yep. Oh.
actually launches better.
Yeah,
That's weird.
that's how they're designed.
Huh.
And it makes 835 horsepower.